You have been carrying far more weight upon your shoulders than any human soul was ever designed to hold. And as this quiet moment unfolds around you, I invite you to step into a deeper stillness than the world has ever offered you. A stillness where the noise settles, where your breath slows, where the pressure inside your chest loosens, where heaven leans in close enough for you to feel it, not as an idea, not as a distant hope, but as a presence resting gently upon your weary spirit. This is where our journey begins, in the soft, fragile truth that you are tired, more tired than you admit, more tired than you show, more tired than those around you will ever understand. You have pushed yourself beyond your own limits for so long, responding to the demands, expectations, and emergencies that never stop coming. You have put your own rest on hold again and again, believing that your needs must always wait, believing that your health is a secondary concern, believing that you can endure a little more, and a little more, and a little more. But now, God speaks into the place where you have been silently breaking. He calls you to pause, to breathe, to stop pretending that constant exhaustion is normal, to stop believing that the only way to survive is to run yourself into the ground. Your body is not a machine. Your mind is not a battlefield meant to stay in permanent war. Your spirit is not a vessel meant to be emptied without ever being refilled. You have ignored your own well-being for far too long, my child, and heaven has watched you press forward even when your soul whispered for mercy. He sees the nights you stayed awake, unable to silence the racing thoughts. He sees the mornings you rose despite the heaviness that clung to your bones. He sees the tears you wiped quickly so no one would notice. The moments you just wanted a break, the days when even breathing felt like a burden. And he calls to you now, gently yet firmly, to lay down the load you were never meant to carry alone. For God is not merely the healer of broken bodies. He is the physician of burdened souls, and his healing flows first into the hidden places, the places where anxiety coils tightly, the places where stress burns like a slow, quiet flame, the places where fear has whispered lies into your thoughts for far too long. You have allowed worry to take root inside you, to settle in the chambers of your heart where peace should live. You have allowed anxiety to influence your posture, your breath, your decisions, striking at your strength like an invisible blade. Worry wounds the spirit. Stress attacks the body. Fear poisons the mind. And God speaks because he refuses to let these forces rule your life. You must stop believing that your problems have no solution. You must stop imagining that your suffering is permanent. You must stop feeding the stream of anxious thoughts that weaken your physical frame and cloud the clarity of your purpose. For every lie that whispers defeat, God offers a truth that brings life. He commands you, for your own good, to speak his promises of healing over yourself, even before you feel the evidence, to declare health over your bones, strength over your mind, peace over your breath, clarity over your thoughts, and restoration over every part of your being that has been worn down by the demands of this world. Do not wait for the sensation of healing. Speak because you trust his word. Do not wait for the storm to end. Speak because you trust his power. Do not wait until you feel worthy. Speak because he has already chosen you, already loved you, already made a way for you. When doubt whispers that your condition is irreversible, counter it with the truth that God's healing is not limited by time, history, or circumstance. His love is medicine. His word is remedy. His presence is restoration. And he promises not only to heal you, but to fill you with the physical strength you need to carry out your purpose, with the mental clarity needed to make wise decisions, with the emotional resilience required to stay steady in this troubled world. Do not let fear overtake you. Do not let anxiety dictate your choices. Do not let exhaustion define your destiny. For God is calling you into a new way of living, one marked by diligence, wisdom, and holy rest, a balanced life, a nourished life, a life not consumed by crisis, but guided by His hand. He is calling you to honor your body as His creation, to honor your spirit as His dwelling place, to honor your mind as the place where His truth must reign. He urges you to stop procrastinating the care of your soul, to stop postponing rest, to stop waiting for a better time to take care of yourself. Begin each morning not with the world's noise, but with His living water. Let His promises be your first breath. Let His truth be your first thought. Let His peace be the ground you stand on before you face the day. This single shift, this one act of spiritual alignment, will renew your strength, lift your spirit, and restore balance to your entire being. Your life can overflow with good things. Your days can carry new blessings. Your heart can awaken to fresh joy. Your mind can become a sanctuary of calm clarity. If you will allow Him to guide you into this new way of living, your trials have not been wasted. They have prepared you for this moment. And now, Noam, as heaven speaks, you are invited to walk forward in a new authority, a new peace, a new strength. For you are more than a conqueror, more than a survivor, more than someone barely holding on. You are His beloved child, and He is ready to heal you. He is ready to strengthen you. He is ready to lift you into a new season. And now, as you move deeper into this moment of truth, I want you to understand something that heaven has been trying to show you for a long time. Something you have felt in glimpses but never fully embraced. Something that has the power to reshape the entire landscape of your inner world. The confusion that has been circling your mind, the fog that sometimes settles over your thoughts, the heaviness that arrives without warning. These things are not random, not meaningless, not signs that you are failing. They are indicators of a deeper spiritual truth, that you are standing in a battlefield you cannot see, a battlefield where the enemy tries to blur your vision, twist your perception, and drown out the clarity God is trying to give you. You have felt it many times. The overwhelming pressure that comes from nowhere, the sudden discouragement, the unexplainable worry, the thoughts that spiral faster than you can stop them. These are not signs of weakness. They are signs that your purpose is too great, your calling too significant, your future too powerful for the enemy to ignore. And so the attack intensifies. But listen carefully now. Listen with your spirit, not just your mind. You are not losing. You are awakening. Every moment of confusion you have faced has been the enemy's attempt to pull you away from your destiny, to disarm your faith, to keep you tangled in exhaustion so that you cannot rise into the fullness of who you were created to be. But today, in this very breath, God begins to reverse that tide. The darkness you have been walking through is not proof of God's absence. It is the backdrop for His miraculous light, a canvas where His glory will shine with undeniable brilliance, a stage upon which your victory will be displayed. When everything feels unstable, when you cannot see the next step, it's fronting. When the world around you seems filled with noise and fear, He is the unseen hand guiding you. Do not measure your future by the size of your storm. Measure your storm by the immensity of His power. For His power exceeds every threat, every fear, every obstacle that stands before you. And now He calls you to do something sacred, something essential, something that marks the turning point of your journey. Silence the chaos within, not by force, not by pretending everything is fine, but by surrendering every thought to Him, every what if, every fear, every anxious scenario, every lie that tries to take root. He calls you to surrender your racing mind, to release the internal noise, to allow His peace to descend upon you like a warm, steady covering. For His peace is not fragile, it is not temporary, it is not dependent on circumstances. It is a fortress, a shield, a divine barrier around your heart and mind. And He declares over you now, my peace, which surpasses all understanding, will guard your thoughts, will guard your emotions, will guard your inner world. Let those words sink in. Let them settle. Let them breathe inside you. For this is the peace that halts the storm, silences the critic, disarms the accusation, and brings rest to the very places you thought would always hurt. You must stop believing the inner voice that tells you you're not enough. That voice is not yours. It never was. You were not created to live in fear. You were not created to walk through life in survival mode. You were not created to carry the opinions and expectations of others as if they were chains around your spirit. You were created for strength, for clarity, for courage, for divine purpose. But your mind has been attacked so often that you began to confuse the noise for truth. Now God reaches into the center of that confusion and calls it by its name, a lie designed to discourage you, a lie intended to weaken you, a lie crafted to distract you from the power you carry. But no lie can stand in the presence of His word. No confusion can resist the clarity of His voice. No chaos can survive the peace He sends into your spirit. You may not feel it instantly, but it is already working, even now, in the quiet place where your fears used to rule. He commands the storm around you to cease and the storm within you to settle. He invites you into a deeper alignment, a posture of trust, a stillness that refuses to bow to fear, a spiritual confidence that says, I am protected, I am guided, I am not alone. For He Himself guards you. He Himself shields you. He Himself stands between you and every attack that tried to overwhelm you. You do not need to panic about the future. You do not need to replay every possible scenario. You do not need to brace for disaster. You need only keep your focus on Him. For the moment your eyes shift back to the storm, fear begins to whisper again. But when your gaze returns to Him, fear dissolves. Anxiety breaks. Confusion loses its power. For His truth is the anchor that holds you steady when everything around you shakes. This is the moment where heaven begins to realign your thoughts, where clarity returns, where your mind is lifted out of the patterns that once trapped you, where you begin to feel a stillness you have not felt in a long time. This peace is not just a break from the storm. It is the beginning of transformation, a transformation that will carry you out of every old pattern, every old fear, every old mindset, every old heaviness that tried to attach itself to you. A transformation that prepares you for the life God is shaping ahead of you. Do not be afraid of this shift. Do not resist the spiritual change happening within you. Let His peace become your new atmosphere. Let His voice become your true compass. Let His presence become the place where your soul finds its home. For you are not meant to walk in confusion. You are not meant to drown in worry. You are not meant to feel lost in the darkness. You are meant to rise, strong, clear, unshaken. You are meant to walk with confidence through uncertainty. You are meant to stand firm in the truth that your God is in control. And now, as this part draws to a close, I want you to feel the weight of His promise settling deep within your spirit. You will overcome this season. You will rise above this confusion. You will step into clarity, strength, and peace. For He is with you, and He will not let you fall. You have endured storms that would have broken others. Storms that were not only external, but internal. Storms that struck your mind, your emotions, your sense of direction. And though you often wondered if you were failing, heaven saw something entirely different. A resilience rising within you. A quiet strength being forged in the hidden places of your soul. Now God turns your attention to something most people overlook. Something that steals more destiny than fear. More peace than hardship. Something subtle but powerful enough to reshape the entire trajectory of your life. Time, your hours, your days, the precious moments that pass silently, unnoticed, until you look back and wonder where so much of your life has gone. God sees the hours lost to worry, the long stretches swallowed by stress, the energy drained by distractions that offered nothing in return, the scrolling, the wandering thoughts, the emotional battles that never truly end. He sees how much of your strength has been spent in places that did not build you, how much of your energy has been consumed by things that had no eternal weight. How many days slipped through your fingers without bringing you closer to peace, purpose, or clarity. And now he speaks, not with anger, not with disappointment, but with a loving urgency. My child, your time is precious, and it is running faster than you realize. Let those words settle, for time is the one resource you cannot replace, cannot renew, cannot buy back. Every moment you give to fear is a moment taken from your purpose. Every hour surrendered to anxiety is an hour stolen from your calling. Every day lost in distractions is a day that was meant to shape your destiny. But today, God invites you into a different relationship with time, a holy stewardship, a divine rhythm, a way of living that protects your mind, your spirit, and your future. He asks you to identify the distractions that have been quietly draining your strength, the habits that bury your purpose, cycles that keep you circling the same emotional ground, the noise that drowns out his voice. You know these distractions well. They pull at your attention the moment you wake. They cling to your thoughts like shadows. They consume your focus before you even realize what has happened. And God says, no more. No more giving your precious hours to the things that weaken you. No more feeding the patterns that keep you stuck. No more allowing the world to set the pace of your life. You must reclaim your time with intention. You must guard your days with purpose. You must decide, not emotionally but spiritually, that your time will belong to God before it belongs to anything or anyone else. And this begins with one simple act. Seek Him first, not the news, not the notifications, not the demands of the world. Seek Him. Let your morning belong to the one who guides your steps. Let your first quiet moments anchor your entire day. Let His presence rearrange your priorities before the world has a chance to scatter them. For when you begin your day with Him, clarity enters where confusion once lived. Peace takes root before anxiety can rise. Your focus sharpens. Your purpose awakens. Your thoughts align with truth instead of wandering into fear. This is not a religious ritual. It is spiritual alignment. It is the act of giving your day a direction rather than letting your emotions drag you through it. You do not need to pray perfectly. You do not need to speak elegant words. You only need to come to Him, open, honest, willing. A single moment of sincere connection with God can shift the entire atmosphere of your day. But this requires diligence, consistency, a willingness to restructure your routine so that heaven is not an afterthought. God is calling you to give Him time, real time, intentional time, time that belongs to Him alone, not out of duty, but out of love, not out of fear, but out of desire, not because He needs your time, but because you need Him. For the truth is this: if you do not choose your priorities, the world will choose them for you. If you do not set the direction of your day, your emotions will set it for you. If you do not anchor your mind in truth, lies will fill the space. And if you do not make room for God, life will fill that room with everything except what truly matters. But hear this now, and hear it deeply. Your life is not meant to be wasted on the trivial. Your purpose is too great. Your calling is too significant. Your destiny is too valuable. God has placed gifts inside you, talents uniquely crafted for the world you are meant to impact, a mission that belongs to you and no one else, a divine appointment with influence, transformation, and purpose. But distractions dilute your strength, scattering your focus across too many minor pursuits, too many unnecessary battles, too many emotional drains that leave you too empty to pursue what truly matters. And God speaks with unmistakable clarity. I need you to strip away the lesser things so you can rise into the life I designed for you. This is a calling to awaken purpose, to intentional living, to spiritual maturity, to a life that reflects the beauty, strength, and wisdom He has been placing within you. Your impact is meant to expand. Your voice is meant to matter. Your gifts are meant to shine. Your presence is meant to bless others. But for this to happen, you must reclaim your time. Not someday, Not when life gets easier, not when you feel more motivated. Now, you must look honestly at the commitments, habits, and distractions that steal your potential. You must release the unnecessary so you can embrace the essential. You must allow God to reorder your priorities so that your life begins to move in harmony with His purpose. For He is preparing to elevate you, to guide you, to position you, to place you in a season where your influence will grow and your impact will multiply. But elevation requires alignment. Purpose requires focus. Destiny requires diligence. You cannot rise into what God has for you while holding on to the things that drain you. This is a sacred moment, an invitation to choose differently, live differently, think differently, steward your life differently, to begin each day with intention rather than chaos, to give your first breath to God instead of anxiety, to let Him set the tone, the pace, and the purpose of your day. This is the recalibration heaven has been waiting for. And if you choose this path, your life will change in ways you never imagined. Your clarity will sharpen, your peace will deepen, your energy will return, your purpose will strengthen, your spirit will rise. For God is not calling you into restriction, He is calling you into freedom. Freedom from wasted days, wasted thought, wasted potential. He is calling you to live fully, purposefully, intentionally, with your heart turned toward Him and your time shaped by His guidance. This is where transformation begins. This is where the next phase of your destiny opens. This is where you reclaim your life from everything that once held you back. As you step forward from this awakening of your time and purpose, God now turns your attention inward, to the place where your deepest battles have been fought, to the part of you that has endured cycles you never wanted, patterns you tried to break, weaknesses you blamed yourself for, and struggles that felt too heavy to admit to anyone else. For what you face outwardly is only half the story. The greater battle has always been within, and God sees the heaviness you carry there. The self-doubt, the regret, the habits you wish you didn't have, the thoughts you wish you could quiet, the emotions that rise without warning. He sees the things you never speak of, the things you wrestle with in secret, the places where you feel stuck even though you long to move forward, the flaws you hide because you fear they define you. But He speaks now with clarity and compassion. My child, nothing in you is beyond my healing. There is nothing too broken, nothing too tangled, nothing too dark, nothing too repeated, nothing too deeply rooted. For the cycles you fight are not proof of your weakness. They are the areas where the enemy has tried hardest to pull you away from who you are meant to become. These cycles, the doubts, the reactions, the old habits, are not reflections of your identity. They are remnants of battles you have survived. You are not the problem. You are the survivor. You are not the flaw. You are the one being refined. You are not the chaos. You are the one being strengthened within it. And now God begins to reveal a truth your heart needs to hear. The weaknesses you battle are not who you are. They are lies that were planted long ago. Lies that said you were not enough. Lies that told you your past to find your future. Lies that whispered you would always struggle, always fall, always feel this heaviness in your soul. Lies that made you believe you had to earn God's love through perfection. But God interrupts those lies with a force stronger than anything the enemy has used against you. My grace is greater than your history, greater than your mistakes, greater than your fear, greater than every flaw you see in yourself. Let that truth rest upon you like a warm covering. For too long, you believed the wrong voice. You believed the voice that said you had to fix everything alone. You believed the voice that said you were too damaged. You believed the voice that said God must be disappointed in you. But none of that was true. Not then, not now, not ever. For God does not see failure when He looks at you. He sees growth. He does not see shame. He sees courage. He does not see a fallen child. He sees a fighter rising again and again. Every time you got back up, heaven celebrated more than you know. Every moment you refused to give up, You were becoming stronger. Every step you took, even trembling ones, you were growing in ways you could not see. And now God is breaking the lie that held you captive. You are not defined by your struggle. You are defined by His love. The enemy built strongholds in your mind using years of discouragement, years of fear, years of disappointment, years of pressure. But God's power is strong enough to break every stronghold in a single moment of surrender. And that moment is now. He calls you to identify the specific areas where you have surrendered ground. The moments where negative thoughts took control, the reactions you wished you could change, the habits you felt trapped in. Not so you can feel shame, but so you can reclaim that ground through His truth. For every thought that led you into fear, He gives you a truth that leads you into peace. For every reaction shaped by pain, He gives you strength shaped by grace. For every habit formed in weakness, He gives you power formed in His Spirit. You must not hide from your weaknesses. You must bring them into His light. For the moment you identify a negative thought, you disarm it. The moment you reject it, you break its influence. The moment you replace it with God's truth, you destroy its foundation. This is how you take dominion over the internal battles that have followed you for years. This is how you rise into the identity that heaven has declared over you. You are not the old you anymore. You are not the sum of your mistakes. You are not bound to the patterns you once lived in. You are a new creation, made whole by His mercy, strengthened by His grace, upheld by His love. But transformation requires your participation. You must refuse to return to what once harmed you. You must refuse to entertain the thoughts that once defeated you. You must refuse to engage with the voices that once drained you. For He has shattered the chains of your past, and now He urges you to walk forward as though they are truly gone, because they are. He has cut ties to every toxic influence that once pulled you backward. He has silenced every voice of condemnation that once spoke over your life. He has broken every generational pattern that tried to follow you. He has cleansed your spirit. He has restored your dignity. He has crowned you with worth, strength, and purpose. Now He calls you to rise. Rise with courage. Rise with vision. Rise with a heart committed to becoming who He has destined you to be. You are entrusted with the power to choose differently, to think differently, to love differently, to live differently. You are entrusted with the ability to overcome every attack against your mind. You are entrusted with the strength to stand firm in the truth of your identity. You are entrusted with the authority to walk in freedom. Freedom from fear, freedom from shame, freedom from the lies that once controlled your thoughts. He commands you to stand strong, not in your own power, but in the power He has placed within you. For you were created to be a conqueror, not sometimes, not occasionally, but continually. Your faith is not fragile. Your spirit is not weak. Your purpose is not small. You are here to rise above the patterns that once confined you and step into the fullness of who you were meant to become. And as this truth settles into the core of your being, God speaks one more assurance into your heart. I will never leave you in your struggle, never abandon you in your weakness, never walk away during your refinement. I am here, always shaping you, guiding you, restoring you. You are not alone in this transformation. He is with you in every moment. He is with you in every step. He is with you in every battle, and He is leading you toward a victory that will redefine who you are. And now, as your heart rises from the place of inner warfare and begins to breathe again, God shifts your gaze towards something equally sacred, something many people overlook, yet it determines the entire direction of a person's life. Something more powerful than desire, more revealing than emotion, and more transformative than effort. Correction. Not punishment, not shame, not rejection, but the gentle, holy refinement that only a loving Father can give. For every soul that will rise into purpose must first walk through the tender fire of correction, not because they are condemned, but because they are chosen. Not because they failed, but because they are being shaped. Not because they are flawed, But because they are loved too deeply to be left unchanged, God sees the moments when correction has made you uncomfortable, the moments you felt exposed, the moments when His truth confronted the areas you wanted to avoid, the moments when your heart resisted because surrender felt too vulnerable, too revealing, too painful to face. But He speaks to you now with a voice filled with compassion. My discipline is not a wound. It is a healing. It is far kinder than the consequences that follow disobedience. It is far gentler than the suffering that grows from ignoring the leading of His Spirit. It is far more loving than silence, distance, or withdrawal. You must understand this. Correction is not an attack. It is protection. It keeps you from roads that lead to destruction. It keeps you from choices that birth regret. It keeps you from relationships that drain your spirit. It keeps you from habits that weaken your purpose. It keeps you from becoming someone you were never created to be. God is not exposing your weaknesses to shame you. He is revealing them to free you. And though this process feels uncomfortable, sometimes unbearably so, it is the very thing that builds spiritual strength, that purifies the heart, that sharpens discernment, that deepens humility, that prepares you for the calling waiting ahead. Do not harden your heart when God speaks truth into the places that ache. Do not run from the mirror He holds before you. Do not close your ears when His voice confronts the exact habit, mindset, or attitude you hope to keep hidden. For His correction is not evidence of anger. It is evidence of love. He corrects because He sees the greatness inside you. He refines because He sees the destiny you were designed for. He stretches you because there is more prepared for you than you have yet imagined. Every moment you receive correction with a humble spirit, you step into a deeper maturity, a greater stability, a stronger identity. You become unshakable, refined, strengthened, focused, capable of carrying the weight of the blessings He is preparing for you. For you cannot carry great responsibility with an undisciplined spirit. You cannot walk in divine authority while clinging to human pride. You cannot bear fruit while refusing the pruning that produces abundance. You cannot rise into greatness while resisting the lessons that shape character. And God sees the potential in you, potential that requires preparation. He is not simply polishing the surface of your life. He is molding the deepest parts of your character. You may feel the discomfort of transformation, but heaven sees the masterpiece forming within you. He whispers to your spirit, I am not disappointed in you. I am developing you. Let that truth settle. For too long, you thought God's correction meant He was angry, but anger is not His nature toward you. His correction is a rescue, a lifeline, a guardrail keeping you from falling where you once fell, a loving redirection before you wander into danger. He is not pointing at your flaws. He is pointing at your potential. He is not highlighting your failures. He is highlighting your future. He is not exposing your weakness. He is preparing your strength. And now He calls you into a new posture, a posture that few embrace, yet it elevates the soul faster than any talent or effort ever could. Teachability, the willingness to listen, the courage to change, the humility to surrender, the trust to obey even when it stretches you. For correction without teachability creates resistance, but correction received with humility creates transformation. And you have arrived at a turning point, one where heaven asks you to shift your internal stance, to receive correction not as a wound, but as wisdom, not as criticism, but as care, not as loss, but as preparation. You must allow God to refine your responses, your thoughts, your patterns, your pace, your desires, your posture toward life. For He is not just shaping what you do, He is shaping who you become. He is molding your character so that you can carry joy without losing gratitude, so that you can receive abundance without losing humility, so that you can walk in purpose without losing compassion, so that you can rise in influence without losing integrity, so that you can stand in difficult seasons without losing faith. This is why His discipline matters. This is why his correction matters. This is why he calls you higher. For you were not created for mediocrity. You were not created for spiritual stagnation. You were not created to wander aimlessly through life. You were created to shine, to lead, to influence, to elevate others through the fullness of who you are. And for this, refinement is necessary. Let him remove the pride that blinds you. Let him cleanse the frustration that keeps resurfacing. Let him quiet the impatience that steals your peace. Let him soften the anger that tightens your chest. Let him heal the defensiveness that rises too quickly. Let him break the habits that keep you from spiritual clarity. Every place he touches, he heals. Every truth he reveals, he transforms. Every correction he brings, he completes with love. For he is not shaping you to be perfect. He is shaping you to be whole. And wholeness is worth every discomfort. Wholeness is worth every surrendered habit. Wholeness is worth every challenging truth. Wholeness is worth the humility required to grow. You will rise from this refining season with new strength, new clarity, new wisdom, new stability, new spiritual authority. You will not tremble at the things that once overwhelmed you. You will not return to the patterns that once controlled you. You will not live according to the fears that once dictated your choices. For God is establishing something permanent inside you, something unshakable, unmovable, deeply rooted in truth. You are becoming the person you were always meant to be. You are stepping into maturity. You are stepping into purpose. You are stepping into deeper intimacy with God. You are stepping into a life that will reflect His glory through your character, your actions, your presence. And He whispers one more promise into your spirit, a promise meant to give you strength as you continue this journey. You are my masterpiece, and I will finish the work I have begun in you. Let that truth settle deeply into your heart, for you are not alone in your transformation. You are being guided. You are being protected. You are being refined with love. And now, as your spirit settles into the truth that correction is love and refinement is protection, God begins to address something even more delicate, something you often feel but rarely name, something that presses into your deepest emotions and shapes the very direction of your days. Weariness, not the physical tiredness that sleep can fix, but the kind of weariness that sits in your soul, a heaviness that lingers even after you rest, a weight that returns even when circumstances improve, a fatigue that whispers quietly, I don't know how much more I can carry. God sees this weariness, the spiritual exhaustion that comes from battles fought in silence, from responsibilities you didn't choose, from burdens you learned to carry because no one else would, from storms that lasted longer than you expected, from hopes that took too long to unfold. He sees the way you push forward even when your heart is trembling. He sees the way you keep walking even when your legs shake beneath you. He sees the way you give love even when you feel empty. He sees the way you stand strong for others even while you quietly break inside. And He speaks now with a voice that wraps around your weary spirit like a warm blanket. My child, your weariness is not a sign of defeat. It is a sign that you have been fighting without the strength I long to give you. Let those words rest gently upon your heart, for you have been trying, truly trying, to hold everything together with your own hands, to be strong through sheer force of will, to carry emotions that were never meant to be carried alone, to survive on courage when what you needed was comfort. You thought you had to be unbreakable. You thought you had to keep pushing. You thought you had to keep showing up even when your spirit was drained. But heaven never asked you to be your own strength. God never demanded that you heal yourself. He never required that you face every battle with your own energy. He never intended for you to live exhausted, stretched thin, or overwhelmed. You have been trying to operate from depletion, and He is calling you now into restoration. He whispers again, come to me, let me give you the endurance you cannot manufacture. Not the false endurance of numbing your feelings. Not the fake strength of pretending everything is fine, but a supernatural endurance. The kind that rises within you not because you force it, but because He breathes it into you. This endurance does not come from effort. It comes from surrender. It comes from letting God refill the places that have been empty for too long. He wants to give you the endurance that keeps you moving when life is heavy, the endurance that steadies you in seasons of uncertainty, the endurance that allows you to walk with peace even while circumstances swirl around you, the endurance that keeps your spirit alive even when your heart is hurting, the endurance that lifts your head when life tries to push it down. For your weariness is not permanent. It is a signal that you need renewal, restoration, holy strength, and God is ready to pour it into you. But first, He calls you to acknowledge something. You have been too hard on yourself. You have carried expectations that were never yours. You have blamed yourself for things you could not control. You have judged your progress too harshly. You have forgotten that you are human, and that being human means you will sometimes feel tired, confused, overwhelmed, or uncertain. He does not condemn you for these things. He invites you closer because of them. He says, "You do not need to pretend with me. You do not need to be strong every moment. You do not need to hide your weariness. I am here to strengthen you." Let that truth reach the places you hide, the places where tears collect, where fears grow, where worries settle like dust. For He is not disappointed in your exhaustion. He understands it, and He meets you in it. He does not ask you to snap out of it, or to be stronger, or to push harder, or to get over it. He offers something better: His presence, His comfort, His arms around your wounded spirit, His hand pulling you gently back to your feet, His voice reminding you that this moment of tiredness is not the end. It is the beginning of renewal. And with renewal comes a new strength, a strength you have not felt in a long time, a strength that will cause you to rise again, a strength that will carry you through the season ahead, a strength that is anchored not in your ability, but in His promise. He whispers once more, "Even when you feel empty, I am your fullness." This truth will become your lifeline. For the journey ahead will require strength, but not the kind you have been using, not the kind that drains you, not the kind that burns you out, but a divine strength that rises with quiet power, that expands from the inside out, that stays steady even when life is shaking around you. The kind of strength that allows you to stand tall without forcing it, to move forward without collapsing, to hold hope without straining, to face challenges without fear, to push through the fog with clarity and confidence. This strength does not come through effort. It comes through connection. Connection with Him, connection with His peace, connection with His word, connection with His presence. And as this connection deepens, God begins to reveal another truth. You have been carrying pain you never learned how to release. Pain from disappointments you still think about. Pain from situations that hurt your confidence. Pain from people who walked away without explanation. Pain from times when you tried your best and it still wasn't enough. Pain from seasons where everything seemed to fall apart at once. This pain settled into your spirit, shaping your reactions and draining your strength. But God is not letting that pain stay any longer. He is pulling it out gently, the way a physician removes a thorn buried deep in the skin, not to hurt you, but to heal you, to bring relief, to free you from the quiet damage it has caused. You will not carry this pain into your future. You will not repeat the same emotional patterns. You will not walk with hidden wounds that keep reopening. God is binding up what was broken. He is closing the wounds that kept bleeding in silence. He is restoring the parts of you that grew numb because the world asked too much of your heart. And He says, stand up again, not with force, but with grace. Your strength is returning. Not the strength others demanded, not the strength you pretended to have, but real strength, holy strength. Strength that comes from peace, from clarity, from truth, from the Spirit living within you. You are stepping into a season where you will feel lighter than you have in years, a season where the heaviness lifts, a season where your mind quiets, a season where your heart stops racing, a season where your breath deepens, a season where you feel supported, guided, held. This is not wishful thinking. It is divine promise. And as this promise wraps around your spirit, God speaks one last assurance in this chapter of your journey. You have more strength inside you than you realize, and I am awakening it now. Let that settle, for you will not walk the next part of your life in exhaustion. You will walk it in renewed power as you rise from the place of weariness and begin to feel strength returning to your spirit. God now speaks to you about something even more profound, something that shapes your future, influences your decisions, anchors your emotions, and determines the direction of your entire life. Protection. Not just physical protection, but protection of your mind, your heart, your peace, your purpose. The kind of divine covering that keeps you from being swallowed by fear, consumed by worry, or shaken by the unexpected storms of life. For heaven has watched the battles you have faced, the threats that came against you, the subtle attacks on your peace, the emotional ambushes you did not see coming, the nights when fear crept in without warning, the moments when your mind spiraled into places you didn't want to go. Heaven has seen it all, and God speaks now with authority, reassurance, and immeasurable love. My child, you are not unprotected. You are not vulnerable. You are not exposed. I am your shield. This truth must move from your mind into your spirit, because the enemy works hardest when you forget that God Himself surrounds you. You have walked through seasons where danger felt close, where uncertainty hovered over your days, where chaos swirled too near your home, where threats, both seen and unseen, tried to rattle your confidence. But you did not fall. You were held. You were guarded. You were shielded in ways you did not even recognize. For God has been fighting battles you never saw, redirecting attacks you never knew existed, blocking dangers you were unaware of, silencing enemies before they reached you, commanding angels to surround your path, keeping you standing when circumstances tried to pull you under. He whispers gently, "You are alive today because my hand has covered you." Let that truth sink deeply into the bones of your soul. For you have felt fear grip you before. Fear of the unknown, fear of heartbreak, fear of loss, fear of failure, fear of what might come next. And in those moments, you wondered if you were alone, if anything stood between you and the dangers of this world. But now heaven reveals what you could not see. You were never unguarded. You were never left exposed. You were never walking through life without divine covering. Every moment you trembled, angels stood around you. Every moment you feared the worst, God blocked what was meant to harm you. Every moment you felt surrounded by trouble, heaven surrounded you with armies far greater. For the word is not symbolic, it is literal. Angels encamp around those who fear Him. That means they pitch their tents near you. They remain stationed around your home. They follow you when you walk. They stand beside you while you sleep. They watch over you when your eyes cannot see. And God now commands your heart to receive this truth with full confidence. You are safe. Safe not because danger doesn't exist, but because danger cannot overpower His protection. Safe not because your life has been easy, but because His covering has been stronger than every storm. Safe not because fear never tries to return, but because His presence disarms fear before it can take root. And now He speaks directly into the deepest part of your fear. Do not be afraid of what is forming around you. No weapon formed against you will prosper. He does not say the weapon will not form. He says it will not prosper. It will not succeed. It will not take root. It will not carry out its assignment. It will not touch the destiny God has written for you. Every threat against your peace, every attempt to overwhelm your spirit, every spiritual attack meant to break you, every lie meant to weaken your faith, every whisper meant to make you doubt, every plan meant to steal your joy. All of it fails when God stands between you and the enemy. For He Himself declares, "I am your high tower, your place of refuge, your fortress of safety." You do not need to look around for protection. You only need to look up, for God is not a distant guardian. He is an active protector. He does not watch from afar. He surrounds you with his presence. He does not hope you survive, he ensures it. And when fear rises again, when it grips your heart, when worry sneaks into your thoughts, when tension tightens your chest, he calls you to remember one truth. Fear is not just an emotion, it is a lie that questions the faithfulness of God. Fear whispers, "You are alone." But God answers, "I am with you." Fear whispers, "You are unprotected." But God answers, "I surround you." Fear whispers, "Something bad is coming." But God answers, "My plans for you are good." Fear whispers, "You must figure everything out." But God answers, "I am guiding you." Fear whispers, "You are vulnerable." But God answers, "You are under my wings." Every time fear speaks, God speaks louder. And now he invites you to do something holy. Exchange your fear for trust. Trade your worry for peace. Lay down your anxiety and pick up the confidence of a child protected by a mighty Father. This exchange is not emotional, it is spiritual. You choose trust even when fear rises. You choose peace even when uncertainty lingers. You choose faith even when the future is not fully visible. And as you make this exchange, heaven strengthens you in ways you cannot yet see. Your spirit grows steadier. Your heart grows calmer. Your thoughts grow clearer. Your emotions grow more grounded. Your confidence grows deeper. You begin to walk differently, not with arrogance, but with assurance. Not with fear, but with conviction. Not with tension, but with divine ease. You begin to feel the truth of his promise in your breath, your posture, your steps. You are not walking through life alone. I walk with you. And then something remarkable begins to happen. The things that once frightened you lose their power. The shadows that once intimidated you grow smaller. The threats that once overwhelmed you begin to crumble, because nothing, absolutely nothing, can overpower the God who protects you. This realization changes everything. It changes the way you think, the way you pray, the way you respond to challenges, the way you navigate uncertainty, the way you carry yourself through each day. It gives you a new kind of confidence, a quiet, unshakable assurance that you are shielded, guarded, and surrounded. And now, as this part reaches its close, God speaks one more truth, one that will shape your heart for the journey ahead. My child, you are safe because I am your safety, not your circumstances, not your strength, not your plans, not your knowledge, but Him, your Father, your protector, your defender, your shield, your refuge. Let this truth settle deeply into your spirit, for the next part of your journey will require unshakable confidence in His protection. And now, as your spirit becomes anchored in the truth of divine protection, as you begin to feel the calm strength of a God who shields you day and night, heaven prepares your heart for something even greater, something that will shape your relationships, your choices, your emotions, and the atmosphere of your home. Joy, not the shallow happiness that fades with circumstances, not the temporary excitement that rises and falls with external events, not the brief moments of relief that disappear when life becomes difficult again, but the deep, supernatural, unshakable joy that flows from God alone. The joy that strengthens you, steadies you, and keeps you alive on the inside, even when challenges surround you on the outside. For you have been carrying heaviness for too long, a heaviness that did not come from God, a heaviness that settled quietly into your spirit through disappointment, through stress, through pressure, through moments that drained you more than you realized. Heaven has watched your smile fade on certain days, watched your hope dim during certain seasons, watched your heart grow tired after too many battles, watched you go through the motions even while something inside you longed for light. God sees the weight you tried to ignore, the emotional pressure that squeezes your chest, the sadness you try to push through, the weariness that sits behind your eyes even when you appear strong on the outside. And He speaks now with a voice that cuts through every layer of heaviness. My child, I am calling you to exchange your garment of heaviness for the robe of my praise. This is not a poetic phrase. It is a spiritual command. For heaviness is not just an emotion. It is a spiritual weight. It is an atmosphere. It is a cloud that follows you until you confront it. It is an assignment meant to drain your strength and silence your joy. And God is not willing to let heaviness dictate your life any longer. He says, "You were not created to live burdened. You were created to live joyful." Let those words settle into your heart. You were created for joy, not sorrow, for praise, not despair, for hope, not hopelessness, for celebration, not constant emotional survival. Heaven does not want you to merely get through your days. Heaven wants you to thrive in them, but joy cannot enter where heaviness remains. And so God calls you to make a conscious spiritual exchange. Give Him your heaviness and receive His joy. This is not denial, it is deliverance. It is not pretending everything is fine. It is surrendering the weight you were never meant to carry. It is not avoiding your emotions. It is allowing God to heal the emotions that have been hurting you. He sees the hidden heaviness, the quiet sadness that comes without warning, the internal tension that feels impossible to shake, the discouragement that tries to settle into your bones. He sees the silent battles, the ones you do not confess to anyone, the ones you try to fight alone, the ones you hide behind a brave face. But God is not asking you to hide your heaviness. He is asking you to release it, to let it go, to lay it down, to give it to the one who can transform it. For joy is not something you earn. It is something you receive, and it begins with gratitude. For worry and gratitude cannot coexist in the same heart. One will silence the other. If you choose worry, gratitude disappears. If you choose gratitude, worry loses its power. Gratitude opens the door to joy. It shifts your focus from what is missing to what is present, from what hurts to what heals, from what's uncertain to what God has already done. This is why God says, "Look around you. Do you see the blessings I've already placed in your life? The air you breathe, the strength to stand, the roof covering you, the food that sustains you, the people who care for you, the protection surrounding your home, the opportunities you have, the mornings you continue to wake to. These are not random. These are signs that God has never left you." And when you begin to notice these blessings, truly notice them, joy begins to rise. Not because life is perfect, not because problems vanish, but because gratitude shifts your heart into alignment with heaven. The enemy wants to keep your eyes fixed on what is missing, broken, delayed, or painful. But God wants your eyes fixed on His goodness, His protection, His provision, His faithfulness, His presence. Joy does not come from avoiding hardship. Joy comes from seeing God's goodness even in the midst of hardship. And once joy enters your heart, it becomes your strength. A supernatural strength that empowers you to endure storms with peace, to face uncertainty with courage, to walk through chaos with calm. Joy is not fragile. Joy is resilient. Joy fights for you. Joy keeps you standing. Joy keeps you believing. Joy keeps you stable. Joy keeps you alive. And God wants this joy to fill your entire life. Your thoughts, your words, your relationships, your atmosphere, your home. He wants joy to become the light that illuminates your path. He wants joy to become the fragrance of your presence. He wants joy to become the evidence of His Spirit within you. He wants joy to become your weapon against discouragement. He wants joy to become the shield that guards your mental and emotional health. He wants joy to become a constant flow, not a momentary feeling. But this requires something from you. You must choose joy, intentionally, repeatedly, boldly. You must choose it even when heaviness whispers. You must choose it even when circumstances feel uncertain. You must choose it even when your emotions resist. You must choose it even when the future feels unclear. You choose joy by speaking it. You choose joy by acknowledging God's blessings. You choose joy by praising Him even before you see the breakthrough. You choose joy by believing His promises even when you cannot feel them. Joy is not always felt first. Sometimes it is chosen first, and then it becomes felt. God is teaching you to anchor your joy in Him, not in circumstances. For circumstances change, but God does not. His goodness does not, His presence does not. His promises do not. His love for you does not. If your joy depends on circumstances, it will rise and fall. But if your joy depends on God, it will stand firm, unshakable, unmovable, steady as the sunrise. And now God calls you to lift your head, not in arrogance, but in courage, not in pride, but in confidence, not in denial, but in faith. He says, lift your head, for your joy is returning. The heaviness that settled over you will lift. The sadness that lingered inside you will break. The emotional fog will clear. Your heart will feel lighter. Your mind will feel calmer. Your spirit will feel renewed. For you are stepping into a season where joy will not be a visitor. It will be your companion. Joy will walk with you. Joy will guard you. Joy will strengthen you. Joy will brighten your days. Joy will protect your peace. Joy will testify to the world that God has done something powerful inside you. And this joy, this holy joy, is the gift He places in your hands right now. Receive it. Hold it. Let it fill you. Let it heal you. Let it transform the way you see yourself, your life, and your future. For joy is not optional. It is essential. It is holy. It is your inheritance. It is the sign that God is restoring you from the inside out. As joy begins to return to your spirit, softly at first, like a warm light breaking gently through the fog, God begins to lead you into something deeper, something sacred, something that shapes the very core of who you are and who you are becoming. Purpose, not the purpose others assign to you, not the expectations placed on your shoulders by society, family, or circumstances, not the shallow version of purpose that comes from chasing accomplishments or external validation, but the divine purpose placed in you before you were even born. The purpose that heaven whispered over your life before your first breath. The unique assignment written into your very being. The reason your soul feels the pull towards something greater, something meaningful, something eternal. For you have lived through seasons where your purpose felt unclear. Seasons where you questioned your significance. Seasons where you wondered whether your life truly mattered. Seasons where discouragement clouded your sense of direction. Seasons where you felt scattered, drained, unfocused, or overwhelmed by too many responsibilities. And heaven has seen you struggle with the weight of uncertainty. You felt lost at times, not because you lacked destiny, but because the world demanded too much of you, too quickly, too loudly. You felt stuck, not because your future was closed, but because your spirit was tired. You felt behind, not because you failed, but because life pulled you into storms you did not expect. You felt disconnected, not because your calling disappeared, but because heaviness muted the voice of purpose within you. You felt fragmented, pulled in too many directions, trying to meet too many expectations, trying to live up to too many versions of yourself. But God speaks now with a clarity that pierces through every layer of confusion. My child, your purpose has not been lost. It has been waiting for you, waiting for your heart to heal, waiting for your mind to clear, waiting for your strength to return, waiting for your spirit to awaken again, waiting for you to make room for it, waiting for you to see yourself the way heaven sees you. For you were never meant to live a scattered life. You were never meant to chase a dozen paths at once. You were never meant to spend your days overwhelmed by tasks that drain your spirit but do not feed your purpose. You were created for something intentional, something focused, something sacred. And God says, it is time to eliminate the noise and rediscover your true calling. Not every opportunity is for you. Not every responsibility is yours to carry. Not every invitation deserves your yes. Not every voice deserves your attention. Not every task belongs to your assignment. God is calling you to strip away the secondary, the unnecessary, the distractions that steal your energy and dilute your impact. He says, the time for scattered living has ended. I am calling you to a single, focused purpose. For your life is not random. Your gifts are not accidental. Your passions are not coincidences. Your abilities were not given without intention. Your experiences, even the painful ones, We're shaping you for something greater than you imagine. You have a unique expression of God's Spirit within you. A way you love, a way you speak, a way you think, a way you serve, a way you bring light into dark places. And the world desperately needs what you carry. No one else can release it except you. This is why you often felt restless in environments that did not match your purpose. This is why your spirit sensed there was more, even when others thought you should settle. This is why you felt the pull toward growth, even when staying the same seemed easier. This is why certain things drained you while others awakened you. Your purpose has been calling you, quietly, persistently, consistently. And now God calls you to step forward with courage and clarity. You must become unwavering in your mission, not double-minded, not hesitant, not half-hearted, not easily distracted, but committed, focused, determined, serious about the life God created you to live. For too long, your energy has been scattered across many directions. Good things, perhaps, but not God things. Activities that filled your time, but not your soul. Responsibilities that consumed your strength, but not your spirit. And now God whispers, I need you to be brave enough to let go of what no longer serves your destiny. This requires honesty, humility, and courage. You must look at your commitments and ask, is this shaping my purpose or stealing from it? Is this feeding my spirit or draining it? Is this aligned with God's calling or just keeping me busy? Is this growing me or distracting me? This is the sacred pruning that leads to fruitfulness. This is the holy refinement that brings clarity. This is the moment you stop scattering your strength and start investing it where it truly matters. Your purpose is not hidden from you. It is waiting to emerge once your focus is reclaimed. God says, you will not live the rest of your life exhausted. You will live it purposeful. Purpose brings energy. Purpose brings clarity. Purpose brings direction. Purpose brings confidence. Purpose brings peace. Purpose brings joy. This is why the enemy has tried so hard to overwhelm you. Not because you are weak, but because your purpose is powerful. If he can scatter your focus, he can weaken your impact. If he can distract your mind, he can derail your progress. If he can fill your days with noise, he can prevent you from hearing God's instructions. If he can weigh down your spirit, he can keep you from stepping into your assignment. But the enemy's strategy is breaking now. God is realigning your spirit. God is clearing your mind. God is strengthening your heart. God is sharpening your focus. God is awakening your purpose. And he says, the time to walk in your calling is now. Not when things feel perfect. Not when you feel fully ready. Not when you have all the answers. Not when circumstances are ideal. Now, for purpose does not begin with certainty. It begins with obedience. It begins with one surrendered step, one aligned decision, one moment where you choose God's voice over your fears, one moment where you trust that he knows what he is doing with your life. And he does. Your steps are ordered. Your path is blessed. Your gifts are intentional. Your future is prepared. You are not wandering. You are being guided. You are not lost. You are being led. You are not insignificant. You are essential to the plan God is unfolding. And heaven whispers, my child, you were created for impact. Your voice matters. Your presence matters. Your story matters. Your transformation matters. Your compassion matters. Your growth matters. Your life carries a weight that will influence others in ways you cannot yet imagine. And as this part comes to a close, God speaks one final truth into your spirit, a truth that will carry you into the next phase of your destiny. Your purpose is calling, and you are ready to answer. As purpose begins to settle into your spirit, not as a distant idea, but as a living truth pulsing within you, God begins to address something even more profound, something that shapes every step you take and every decision you make, something that determines whether you walk into your destiny with confidence or hesitate at the threshold of your calling. Endurance. For beginning is easy, dreaming is easy, feeling inspired is easy, starting strong is easy, but finishing, continuing, pressing forward through resistance, That is where many stumble. And God sees the moments when you felt close to breaking, the moments when life pressed so hard that your breath grew shallow, the moments when discouragement wrapped around your spirit like a tightening rope, the moments when you whispered, even if only internally, "I don't know if I can do this anymore." Heaven heard you. Heaven saw you. Heaven watched the silent battles that nobody else noticed. The mornings when you got up despite feeling empty. The nights when you cried quietly because you didn't want anyone to worry. The days when you pushed forward with a strength you didn't even know you had. The moments when you kept going, not out of energy, but out of faith, or simply out of survival. And now God speaks to that deepest place. The place where fatigue has carved its lines, where pressure has left its weight, where emotion has left its imprint. My child, your race is not meant to crush you, it is meant to shape you. You have mistaken pressure for punishment, but pressure has been preparation. It has been strengthening your spirit, stretching your faith, enlarging your capacity, refining your character, and preparing you for a blessings-filled future that requires emotional and spiritual stamina. For what God is calling you into will take more strength than the seasons behind you. Not more struggle, more strength. Not more worry, more wisdom. Not more chaos, more clarity. Not more scarcity, more responsibility. People often ask God for elevation, but elevation demands endurance. And God is giving you that endurance now, not the fragile kind that collapses under stress, but the supernatural kind that rises above storms with quiet confidence. He whispers, "I will give you the strength of a mighty buffalo," meaning you will not break, you will not fold, you will not collapse under pressure, you will not be destroyed by the challenges ahead. You will rise, you will push forward, you will endure, not through human force, but through holy strength. For endurance is not the absence of pressure. Endurance is the refusal to surrender in the face of pressure. It is the power to keep moving when you feel tired, the power to keep believing when you feel unsure, the power to keep trusting when your emotions fluctuate, the power to keep showing up when life tries to push you back. This strength does not come from within your flesh. It comes from the Spirit of God sustaining you from within. And God wants you to understand something crucial. The moment when the pressure feels the greatest is often the moment right before breakthrough. The enemy pushes hardest when he knows your blessing is close. He tries to overwhelm your mind, disrupt your emotions, stir confusion, trigger old fears, weaken your confidence, drain your energy, distract your focus, discourage your heart. Because you are dangerously close to stepping into the season, he has tried to keep you from your entire life. This is why certain days feel heavier than others, why certain weeks feel like battles, why certain thoughts seem louder, why certain emotions hit harder, why certain obstacles appear out of nowhere. It is not random. It is resistance. Resistance is a sign that you are close to breakthrough. Closer than you realize, closer than you feel, closer than the enemy wants you to believe. And God now speaks with unmistakable force. Do not turn back now. Not after everything you've survived. Not after all the growth you've experienced. Not after all the healing you've received. Not after all the lessons that shaped you. Not after all the battles you fought. Not after all the nights you cried and still woke up. Not after all the times you thought you wouldn't make it but did. You are too close. You have come too far. You are standing on the threshold of something life-changing, heart-healing, spirit-transforming. And heaven says, this pressure is not your enemy. It is the final stretch before your elevation. Just as a woman feels the greatest contraction right before delivery, just as an athlete feels the greatest burn right before the finish line, just as the night is darkest before dawn, you are in the moment just before things shift. And God does not want you to misinterpret this moment as defeat. He wants you to see it as confirmation. Confirmation that the blessing is ready. Confirmation that the shift is near. Confirmation that the breakthrough is close. Confirmation that what you have prayed for is approaching. confirmation that your life is about to change. But to step into that next season, you must embrace endurance. Not the endurance of exhaustion, but the endurance of expectancy. Endurance that says, I will not give up now. I will not walk away from what God is preparing. I will not allow fear to dictate my decisions. I will not let discouragement turn me around. I will not let delays convince me that God has forgotten me. I will keep going because something powerful is unfolding. This is holy endurance. Endurance rooted in confidence, not strain, trust, not fear, clarity, not confusion. And God himself promises to sustain you with it. And he says, I am awakening a perseverance in you that will carry you through every storm, every challenge, every season of uncertainty. This perseverance will strengthen your heart, sharpen your faith, silence your doubts, steady your emotions, stabilize your mind, deepen your resilience, guard your hope, preserve your joy. You will not crumble where you once collapsed. You will not break where you once bent. You will not panic where you once feared. You will not lose heart where you once struggled. For endurance is rising within you. Heaven's strength, heaven's breath, heaven's power filling you from the inside. And now God speaks one final truth in this chapter of your journey. You will finish this race and you will finish it well. Not barely, not shakily, not breathless, not defeated, not half alive, not crawling. You will finish strong. You will finish joyful. You will finish healed. You will finish confident. You will finish knowing that God carried you the entire way. And now, as endurance settles into your spirit like a steady fire, neither loud nor forceful, but warm, consistent, unshakable, God turns your attention towards something eternal, something the world often forgets, something that shapes not only how you live, but how you love, how you give, how you stand in the face of adversity, and how you prepare your heart for what is coming. Perspective. Not the perspective shaped by fear, not the perspective shaped by culture, not the perspective shaped by pressure or emotion, but the eternal perspective, the one that lifts your eyes above the noise of the world, above the chaos of the moment, above the temporary frustrations that feel so heavy, and invites you to see through God's eyes. For your life is not just a sequence of days, it is a preparation for eternity, a preparation for glory, a preparation for the moment when you will stand face to face with the one who created you, a preparation for the kingdom that will never end. And now, heaven speaks to your heart with a different kind of urgency, not the urgency of fear, but the urgency of purpose, the urgency of readiness, the urgency of love. My child, you must begin to live with eternity in mind. For everything around you, every system, every structure, every culture is temporary. The world is noisy, but temporary. The world is chaotic, but temporary. The world is unstable, but temporary. The world is deceptive, but temporary. Your soul, however, is eternal. Your relationship with God is eternal. Your purpose carries eternal weight. And heaven wants you to understand something your heart has sensed but could not fully articulate. Spiritual battles you face now are not just about the present. They are shaping your eternity. Your choices matter. Your obedience matters. Your growth matters. Your character matters. Your faith matters. Your love matters. Your consistency matters. These things are not just spiritual practices, they are eternal investments. God is preparing you to be a light in a world that grows darker each day, a voice of truth in a culture of confusion, a carrier of peace in an atmosphere of fear, a representative of heaven in a generation that is losing sight of God, a warrior of love in a time when love has grown cold. He says, you must keep your lamp full. This is not a poetic phrase. It is a command rooted in eternity. A lamp full of oil means your spirit must remain awake. Your connection to God must remain steady. Your heart must remain teachable. Your desire for Him must remain alive. Your faith must remain vibrant. Your priorities must remain aligned with His will. For the oil of the Holy Spirit is what sustains you. It is what keeps your heart burning with faith when the world grows indifferent. It is what keeps your courage alive when the world becomes fearful. It is what keeps your mind steady when the world becomes unstable. And now God invites you lovingly but clearly into a deeper level of intentionality. You must guard your heart from distractions that have no eternal value. Not every opinion matters. Not every argument deserves your attention. Not every trend belongs in your spirit. Not every voice should have access to your mind. Not every obligation deserves your energy. This is the pruning of priorities, the holy refocusing that happens when you begin to see life the way heaven sees it. For much of the world is asleep, not physically but spiritually asleep, lulled into comfort, numbed by noise, sedated by distraction, blinded by urgency that has no meaning, consumed by things that will not matter even a few years from now, let alone in eternity. But you are not called to live asleep. You are called to live awake, to live aware, to live committed, to live focused, to live joyful, to live prepared, to live with your spirit aligned to the ultimate truth. Heaven is real and eternity is coming. This truth does not bring fear, it brings clarity. It brings wisdom, it brings grounding, it brings purpose, it brings sobriety to your choices, it brings peace to your soul, it brings urgency to your calling. When you live with eternity in mind, you stop wasting energy on petty things. You stop engaging in conflicts that don't matter. You stop chasing the approval of people. You stop comparing your life to others. You stop stressing over things that cannot follow you into eternity. Instead, you begin investing in what does matter: your connection to God, your spiritual growth, your compassion, your generosity, your character, your obedience, your love for others, your willingness to serve, your commitment to truth, your purpose. These things are not temporary, they are eternal. And now God whispers something sacred. I am preparing you to carry a heavier anointing. Not a heavier burden, a heavier anointing. An anointing that requires maturity, an anointing that requires clarity, an anointing that requires a pure heart, an anointing that requires eternal vision, an anointing that requires you to detach from distractions so you can hear His voice clearly. Heaven is calling you higher, and part of rising higher is letting go. Letting go of the old fears, letting go of emotional clutter, letting go of unhealthy attachments, letting go of mindsets that once limited you, letting go of priorities that no longer align with your calling. For the future God has prepared for you is too great to be carried with unnecessary weight. You must travel light, not because the journey is easy, but because the destination is glorious. And now God speaks a truth that seals itself into your spirit. My child, I am coming. Live ready. Not fearful, not panicked, not obsessed, not overwhelmed. Ready. Ready in your heart. Ready in your purpose. Ready in your love. Ready in your obedience. Ready in your spirit. Ready in your priorities. For the hope of eternity purifies the soul. It brings your heart back into alignment. It sharpens your vision. It softens your spirit. It deepens your love for God. It keeps you humble, grateful, steady. It reminds you that everything here, the struggles, the delays, the battles, they are temporary. But your destiny, your spirit, your purpose, your relationship with God, your eternal reward, these are forever. And heaven says, fix your eyes on what truly matters, for your future is greater than anything you have seen. As eternity settles into your perspective and your spirit becomes anchored in a truth far greater than the noise of the world, God leads you into another sacred dimension, one that is both simple and profound, quiet and powerful, often overlooked yet essential for walking in the fullness of your destiny. Obedience, not the rigid obedience of fear, not the forced obedience of religion, not the reluctant obedience of obligation, but the loving, willing, immediate obedience of someone whose heart belongs fully to God. For obedience is not about control, it is about alignment. It aligns your heart with His will. It aligns your steps with His path. It aligns your destiny with His timing. It aligns your spirit with His whisper. It aligns your decisions with His wisdom. And heaven sees the moments, many moments, when God has whispered to you, nudged you, stirred something inside you, placed a small instruction on your heart, and you felt it deeply, but fear or doubt delayed your response. You told yourself, I'll do it later, when I feel ready, when the timing is better, when life settles down, when things make more sense. But blessings are often tied to obedience, and obedience is often tied to timing. There are instructions God gives that must be acted on quickly, not because He is impatient, but because the timing of His command is connected to the blessing attached to it. And now He speaks with a gentle but unmistakable urgency. My child, do not delay when I speak, for delay creates confusion. Delay feeds fear. Delay opens the door for doubt. Delay gives the enemy room to whisper lies. Delay causes you to overthink what God intended to be simple. Delay steals the momentum heaven is trying to build in your life. And yet, God is not frustrated with you. He understands your hesitation. He understands your fear of making mistakes. He understands your desire for clarity before moving. He understands the wrestle between faith and uncertainty. But He calls you now into a deeper trust. When I speak, obey, even when you cannot yet see the full picture. This is the obedience that strengthens your spirit. This is the obedience that builds your faith. This is the obedience that activates your destiny. This is the obedience that opens doors you cannot open alone. This is the obedience that shifts you from stagnation into movement. For every great move of God in Scripture began with a person who obeyed quickly. Abraham walked. Moses lifted his staff. Noah built. Elijah spoke. David stepped forward. Peter cast his net. Mary said yes. Paul traveled. And none of them saw the full picture when they obeyed. They obeyed first, and then God revealed the next step. This is how He works with His children. He leads one step at a time. He unfolds His plan gradually. He requires obedience before understanding, because obedience positions you for revelation. If you wait for full clarity before obeying, you will never move. If you wait for absolute certainty, you will stand still. If you wait for conditions to be perfect, you will delay your blessing. If you wait for fear to disappear, you will miss your moment. Obedience is often the bridge between your prayer and God's answer. You have asked for direction. His instruction is the answer. You have asked for breakthrough. Obedience is the door. You have asked for healing. Obedience is the pathway. You have asked for clarity. Obedience activates revelation. And now God gives you a truth your spirit must hold tightly. The blessing you are praying for requires action, not just faith. Faith believes, obedience moves. Faith sees what God can do. Obedience steps into it. Faith agrees with heaven. Obedience aligns with heaven. Faith prepares the heart. Obedience positions the destiny. And God wants you to understand something deeper still. Obedience is not always loud. Sometimes it is simple, soft, quiet. A phone call you feel led to make. An apology whispered through humility. A relationship you're instructed to step away from. A habit you know He's asking you to release. A boundary you must finally establish. A dream you must begin taking small steps toward. A moment of prayer you cannot ignore. A scripture He nudges you to read. A sin He calls you to surrender. A new discipline He wants to build in you. He whispers these things not to overwhelm you, but to guide you. For your life cannot remain the same when God is calling you deeper. And He is calling you deeper right now into deeper surrender, deeper trust, deeper obedience, deeper sensitivity to His voice. And now He says something that will shape your spiritual maturity. The instruction I place in your heart is the key to your next season. Because God never speaks without purpose. He never commands without intention. He never leads without preparing something on the other side. Every act of obedience unlocks something. Peace, clarity, protection, growth, healing, provision, breakthrough, transformation. Obedience is holy. Obedience is powerful. Obedience is intimate because it requires trust. It says, Lord, I don't fully understand, but I trust you. I don't see the full path, but I know you do. And that trust moves heaven. It moves angels into position. It moves obstacles out of the way. It moves blessings into alignment. It moves your spirit into divine order. It moves your life into the flow of God's will. Do not underestimate the power of one small act of obedience. It may seem insignificant. It may feel inconvenient. It may not make sense right now. It may challenge your comfort. It may confront your fears. But obedience always produces fruit, not immediately, but inevitably. And now God speaks one more instruction, the one that ties all of this together. When you feel my prompting, obey immediately. Not later, not tomorrow, not when it feels easier, not when you have more clarity, not when your emotions agree. Immediately, because immediate obedience is the highest form of trust. It says, Lord, I believe you enough to move now. You may not understand the fullness of what God is doing, but your obedience will guide you into it. This is the part of your journey where you learn to move with Him, not ahead of Him, not behind Him, but with Him. And in that place, your life begins to flow with ease, not because circumstances are easy, but because your spirit is aligned to the will of God. This is where breakthrough becomes natural. This is where clarity becomes normal. This is where peace becomes constant. This is where favor flows freely. This is where purpose becomes effortless. For obedience is not a burden. It is a doorway into the life God designed uniquely for you. And now heaven whispers one final truth for this part. My child, your obedience is your offering, and I will honor it. As obedience begins to take root in your spirit, not as a burden, but as a posture of love, God now begins to open your eyes to something even wider, something beyond your personal healing, beyond your inner restoration, beyond your private transformation. He turns your attention outward, toward the world, toward the people around you, toward the souls who cross your path, toward the divine assignments woven throughout your everyday life. For your journey has never been only about you. Your healing is not meant to remain inside you. Your growth is not meant to be hidden. Your transformation is not meant to be silent. Your purpose is not meant to stay internal. Your breakthroughs are not meant to end with you. Everything God has done in your life, every battle He helped you survive, every lesson He taught you, every truth He planted in your spirit, every wound He healed, it was never meant to be stored only within you. It was meant to flow through you, to others, into the world, into your relationships, into your conversations, into the atmosphere you carry, into the lives you touch without realizing it. For God says, my child, you are a vessel of my presence on the earth. Not by title, not by profession, not by platform, but by nature. You carry something holy within you now. You carry strength where weakness once lived. You carry clarity where confusion once ruled. You carry peace where anxiety once roared. You carry wisdom shaped by suffering. You carry compassion forged through struggle. You carry courage born from tears. You carry light that was birthed from darkness. And heaven whispers, do not hide what I have placed in you. For the world is not suffering from a lack of noise. It is suffering from a lack of truth. The world is not suffering from a lack of opinions. It is suffering from a lack of love. The world is not suffering from a lack of distractions. It is suffering from a lack of presence. Your life, your renewed heart, your healed spirit, your awakened purpose is part of God's answer to the brokenness around you. Not because you are perfect, not because you have everything figured out, not because you never struggle, not because you feel ready, but because you have survived what others are still drowning in, because you know darkness and overcame it, because you know pain and found healing, because you know discouragement and rose above it, because you know weariness and found strength again, because you know confusion and found clarity, because you know fear and discovered peace. Your story carries authority. Your presence carries weight. Your transformation carries power. Your journey carries answers for others. There are people who will heal when they see you healed. There are people who will hope when they see you hopeful. There are people who will believe when they see you believing. There are people who will stand when they see you standing. There are people who will return to God when they see the light inside you. You are not responsible for saving them, but you are responsible for shining. And now God speaks into your spirit something deeply important. I am expanding your influence, not influence measured by followers, but influence measured by souls. The quiet influence of being present for someone in their moment of pain. The soft influence of speaking gentle truth into someone's confusion. The steady influence of being a voice of peace in someone's chaos. The deep influence of living with integrity when others are watching. The spiritual influence of praying for people who do not know they are being prayed for. The holy influence of carrying my atmosphere wherever you go. Your life is becoming a light, not because you are striving to be one, but because I have lit a flame inside you that cannot be hidden. And God says, those around you will notice the change before you do. They will notice your calm, your clarity, your patience, your strength, your compassion, your peace, your joy, your spiritual maturity. They will see God in you even when you feel ordinary. This is why you cannot minimize who you are becoming. This is why you cannot downplay the work God is doing in you. This is why you cannot pretend that nothing has changed. Heaven has invested too much in you for you to shrink back now. This is your time to rise, not with arrogance, not with pride, not with noise, but with quiet authority. The authority of someone who knows God. The authority of someone who survived darkness. The authority of someone who carries light. The authority of someone whose life has been reshaped by truth. And God says, step into your assignment without fear. For your assignment is not to fix people, but to love them. Not to control them, but to influence them. Not to preach at them, but to reflect my heart to them. Not to change them, but to plant seeds that I will water. You do not need a platform to fulfill your purpose. You need only a willing heart. Your purpose is carried in every conversation where you choose compassion instead of judgment. Your purpose is carried in every moment when you respond with patience instead of anger. Your purpose is carried in every act of kindness given without expectation. Your purpose is carried in every prayer whispered for someone in pain. Your purpose is carried in the way you treat those who cannot repay you. Your purpose is carried in the love you extend when no one is watching. Your purpose is carried in the way you endure trials with faith. Your purpose is carried in the way you rise again and again after each fall. And God says, you will be a blessing to many. You will reach people you never expected to reach. You will influence hearts you do not even realize are watching you. For He is enlarging your territory, not geographically, but spiritually. He is expanding your emotional capacity. He is expanding your compassion. He is expanding your wisdom. He is expanding your spiritual insight. He is expanding your ability to love. He is expanding the reach of your words. He is expanding the impact of your presence. You will become a carrier of healing, a vessel of peace, a messenger of comfort, a voice of wisdom, a light in the cold places, a source of hope in hopeless environments. And God now speaks one final truth for this chapter. My child, I am preparing to use your life in ways you never imagined. Stay close to me, and I will guide every step. Your purpose is unfolding. Your influence is growing. Your calling is awakening. And the world will be different because you said yes to transformation. As your influence begins to expand, not through effort, but through the quiet radiance of a transformed spirit, God now shifts your heart towards something sacred, something powerful, something deeply intertwined with the very reason He has been shaping, pruning, refining, and strengthening you through every step of this journey. Responsibility, not the heavy responsibility the world forces upon your shoulders, not the exhausting responsibility of living for others' expectations, Not the suffocating responsibility that steals your joy or drains your spirit, but the holy responsibility, the one heaven entrusts only to those whose hearts have been purified through fire and shaped through surrender. For God does not call the careless, He calls the willing. He does not call the proud, He calls the humble. He does not call the perfect, He calls the surrendered. He does not call those who crave the spotlight, He calls those who crave His presence. And now, He calls you, not to carry the world, but to carry His light into it. For the transformation He has worked in you is not small. You may feel ordinary, but heaven sees the extraordinary work taking place within you. You may feel unworthy, but heaven sees the cleansing of your spirit. You may feel unprepared, but heaven sees the training you did not realize you were in. You may feel unsure, but heaven sees the alignment of your path with divine purpose. Everything you have walked through, every battle, every heartbreak, every disappointment, every miracle, every moment of strength, every night of tears, every victory whispered quietly within your soul, all of it has been preparation, not punishment, preparation for responsibility, for the weight of influence, for the stewardship of purpose, for the assignment of carrying His heart into a broken world. And now God speaks to you with an authority that is both tender and powerful. My child, I am entrusting you with more peace to give, more strength to carry, more wisdom to share, more compassion to pour out, more purpose to walk in, more presence to carry, more light to reveal. You have grown more than you realize. Your soul has matured more than you feel. Your discernment has sharpened more than you understand. Your spirit has awakened more than you expected. And God now says, you are ready for the next level of responsibility in my kingdom. This responsibility is not about pressure. It is about partnership. Partnership with heaven, partnership with His will, partnership with His heart, partnership with His spirit. You are not being asked to carry this alone. You are being asked to carry it with Him. For God never gives an assignment without giving the power to fulfill it. He never gives responsibility without giving strength. He never gives calling without giving provision. He never gives instructions without giving guidance. You are not stepping into this season by yourself. You are stepping into it with the one who formed you, the one who sustains you, the one who protects you, the one who empowers you. And He whispers, you will not fail, for I am with you. This is the responsibility of someone who walks with God, to love deeper, to forgive quicker, to speak truth gently, to listen with compassion, to respond with patience, to stand firm with conviction, to pray with persistence, to lead through example, to walk with integrity, to treat others with dignity, to carry His presence wherever you go. This is not a responsibility of burden, but a blessing. And yet, with responsibility comes refinement. God begins to highlight the places where you must grow further, not out of condemnation, but out of invitation. He invites you to strengthen your discipline, because where He is sending you will require consistency. He invites you to deepen your prayer life, because your authority will flow from intimacy. He invites you to guard your thoughts, because negativity cannot go where He is taking you. He invites you to protect your peace, because your peace will become a sanctuary for others. He invites you to walk in humility, because pride destroys what He is building. He invites you to value purity of heart, because your anointing must remain untainted. He whispers, I am shaping you, not to restrict you, but to release you. For responsibility is not about rules, it is about readiness. Readiness to be used, readiness to carry His heart, readiness to impact others, readiness to speak when He prompts you, readiness to act when He leads, readiness to shine when darkness surrounds, readiness to stand when others fall, readiness to comfort when others break, readiness to guide when others wander, readiness to pray when others faint. And you will not shrink back, because everything God has been teaching you, everything He has been strengthening within you, everything He has been awakening in your mind, your emotions, your spirit. It all leads to this moment. This is the moment where your life ceases to be reactive and becomes purposeful. This is the moment where your presence shifts atmospheres. This is the moment where your words carry weight. This is the moment where your compassion brings healing. This is the moment where your endurance inspires others. This is the moment where your story becomes someone else's hope. You have no idea how many lives will be touched because you refuse to quit, because you chose healing, because you chose growth, because you chose God. Now heaven extends a calling, not loud, not heavy, not impossible, but holy. A calling to be a carrier of His love, a calling to be a vessel of His peace, a calling to be a defender of truth, a calling to be a messenger of hope, a calling to be a voice of encouragement, a calling to be a light in hidden places, a calling to be a safe place for broken hearts, a calling to be a warrior of compassion, a calling to be a reflection of His kindness. This responsibility is not about position, it is about posture. It is the posture of someone who says, "Lord, here I am, use me." And God responds, "I will." He will use you gently to lift someone's spirit. He will use you quietly to speak peace over an anxious heart. He will use you softly to remind someone that they matter. He will use you boldly to speak truth when it is needed. He will use you faithfully to pray for someone who cannot pray for themselves. He will use you deeply to bring comfort that feels like healing. He will use you powerfully to shift the atmosphere in a room. He will use you purposefully to plant seeds that will grow for generations. And now God speaks a final truth for this part, a truth that seals the responsibility He is placing in your hands. My child, I trust you. He trusts your heart. He trusts your growth. He trusts your humility. He trusts your compassion. He trusts the transformation He has created within you. He trusts you not because you are perfect, but because you are willing. You are ready, and heaven smiles upon you. As heaven draws you into this final chapter, the culmination of everything spoken, everything revealed, everything stirred within your spirit throughout this journey, God now invites you to step into the fullness of who you are becoming. For transformation is not truly complete until it becomes identity, and identity is not truly embraced until it becomes the way you walk, the way you breathe, the way you carry yourself in a world that desperately needs what God has placed inside you. You have walked through healing, walked through restoration, walked through awakening, walked through purpose, walked through endurance, walked through perspective, walked through obedience, walked through responsibility. And now God unveils the final truth that ties every chapter together: identity. Not the identity shaped by your past wounds, not the identity shaped by failures or mistakes, not the identity shaped by people who misunderstood you, not the identity shaped by your fears, your doubts, or the lies whispered into your spirit, but your true identity, the one heaven wrote long before you ever took your first breath. For God says, "My child, you belong to me." These words are not a metaphor. They are the foundation of your existence. They are the truth beneath every truth. They are the anchor beneath every storm. They are the name beneath every other name spoken over you. And because you belong to Him, your future is not fragile. Your purpose is not accidental. Your destiny is not at risk. Your story is not ruined. Your worth is not negotiable. Your spirit is not defeated. Your identity is not defined by what happened to you. The world tried to name you by your weakness. Heaven names you by your purpose. The world tried to bury you in shame. Heaven lifts you into glory. And now God speaks with the authority of a Father who has watched you suffer, watched you grow, watched you rise, and watched your spirit awaken. You are not who you were. You are who I created you to be. You are chosen. You are set apart. You are redeemed. You are restored. You are renewed. You are strengthened. You are protected. You are anointed. You are loved beyond comprehension.